married in 1939, and I was the manager of a service station at a Model A Ford, and went on the honeymoon to Victoria, British Columbia. Stayed in some second-rate place up there, you know, and had a great time. And really had quite an interesting young life. It was kind of nice. Really we didn't have anything, but we, you know, just anything great, but we had the main things. We had food, and we had lodging and a warm bed and a lot of love. And that's what made us grow. And that's the story of my part of it, or part of it. I could tell you lots of things, but it would take us till tomorrow or the next day. And we, you know, that's kind of the story of me on Kirby Street. Or you might say the Slabtown kid, you know, the kid from Slabtown. Because that's what we were. We were really people from Slabtown. And if you're born and raised in Slabtown, you really were kind of born below the tracks, you know what I mean, on the other side of the tracks. But that's where the people lived, the immigrants, the people that were trying to make it, you know, because the houses were pretty tough there. They were, you know, not the greatest of houses, but they weren't, you know, they were little bits of funny little houses, you know, on 25-foot lots. You know, they were long houses, you know, and my dad, I always admired my dad because he had the courage, now mind you, to move from there, which was somewhat security, don't you know, to move in the hinterlands across the river, way out there in the boondocks. As long as he was near a streetcar, that's all he cared about, because his job kept him going at odd hours of the day and night, you know. He'd be loading boats, and he'd be gone sometimes for a month. My dad would be. And he came home, he'd always have a candy bar for each of us, a small little candy bar. And we always looked in his, he had a valise, you know, to carry all of his stuff with, cargo plans and all that sort of stuff. You daren't touch his pencils or things in that thing. That was sacred. That was, you didn't touch that thing at all. You never, if you touched that, you were in trouble. You'd go to hell, you know. But those were the things. Yeah.
Didn't you ever have a car?
Pardon me?
You never had a car?
No, we never had a car until 1933, 34. And my mother was really the one who got the car. My dad insisted that they lay the cement and build a garage and so on, and then he would buy the car. He always claimed that if you had a horse, you'd have to have a barn before you had the horse. And that was the way, you know. So that was, whether that was a stall, so we didn't have to buy a car, or whatever, but he finally got the garage built, he got the cement poured, he got the runway in and driveway, and I come home from school one time, I was in high school then, and I came home from school, and there was a 1933 Chevrolet out in front of the house. It was green, it had yellow spoked wheels, a side mount tire.
Green with yellow wheels.
It was green with yellow spoked wheels. A green car
Yeah.
with yellow spoked.
Well, it sounds ugly.
Oh no, it was handsome.
A slick car, yeah.
Oh, you and your modern color, you don't appreciate art. So we had this car, and it was there, and nobody could drive it. There wasn't any people who knew how to drive the car. So I said to my mother, well, what did you get the car for? Well, you're going to learn to drive this car, and we're going to drive to California on Saturday. This was on Monday, the car came.
What, you want to learn how to drive it in a week?
I didn't know how to drive a car. So she said, you've got a friend, Fred Davis, and I did at school, and his dad had a car. So Fred drove over to our house, And we drove that Chev around the block, and I drove his car, and he let me get used to the thing, and so on and so forth. And then he made another couple of turns for a day or two later. And I, in the meantime, went downtown and went to the police station. In those days, that's where you got your driver's license. And the guy says, "Can you drive?" And I said, "Yes." Never even got a driver's test. Then the guy just, I don't know, they were in a hurry or something. And he said, "You can see all right." And I looked through this thing, yeah, I can count, boy, my eyes were good, you know. And I got that driver's test. And on Saturday morning, we took off for Los Angeles, California in 1930. Now that's faith. This is before your dad was born. Can you imagine the courage my mother had?
Where'd you want to go there for?
Well, because Uncle Owen was there. And then
Oh.
she could stop in San Francisco and see Aunt Hazel. And she had a sister, Aunt Margaret, in Salinas or Gilroy, California, I don't remember which. But we started off on that highway. There wasn't even the yellow line in those days down there. Part of the way. Just blacktop, just a black road, you know, going down the old 99. 2-lane road, that's all there was. Trucks, guts, feathers, buses, horses and buggies and everything on that. That's the way you drove in those days back down there, yeah. You ran into most everything, but she had a lot of faith. And my dad told us we weren't to go any farther than Eugene, Oregon the first day, and we ended up in Medford. That was the first day. Hell, we never got started till at 9 o'clock in the morning at that. And that was a pretty good time for a car in those days, you know. 45 miles an hour was the speed limit, 50 on some roads. And we got as far as Medford, and my mother and my sister Francie and Eleanor and Bobby, and there was somebody else in the car. There was 6 people in that car. We went all the way down to California and all the way back with the luggage and everything else. It was a 2-door car. You know, like your car?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was a little Chevrolet. And we had, if I recall, it was something packed on the back, a trunk or a suitcase or something. Can't remember which now. And that's how I learned to drive.